I came like a king and left like a legend.
I don't know a lot about the players, and for sure they know who I
A World
am.
Cup without me is not worth
I
watching.
don't do trials. I'm Zlatan.
In Rosengård, the fridge in his father's apartment was full of beer and almost nothing else. He was 9 years old. When he was hungry, he went to his mother's side of the city, and when that ran out, he went back, and between the two homes he learned to feed himself. His parents split up when he was 2. His mother was arrested once for handling stolen goods. Social services came. The boy got passed across the city to a father who loved him, drank, and kept a fridge a child couldn't eat from. He was the son of a Bosnian Muslim and a Croatian Catholic in a country that was neither. In a neighborhood the rest of Sweden talked about but didn't visit. He belonged to nobody, not to Sweden, not fully to either house, not to one club, ever, across a career long enough to score in 4 different decades. So he built something to belong to. He built Zlatan. We already know the finished product. The third person, I am Zlatan.
I'm Zlatan.
The lines that get screenshotted, the quotes everyone repeats, that he came like a king and left like a legend,
I came like a king and left like a legend.
that a World Cup without him isn't worth watching.
A World Cup without me is not worth watching.
The world took all of it and made it a punchline, a meme, the most quotable man in the sport, and somewhere in the quoting, everyone stopped listening to what he was actually saying. Here is what the punchline hides. None of that noise was an accident. It was made, deliberately, by hand, by a kid who had nothing else to make. In 2003, still early in his career, he did something almost nobody in football has done. He trademarked his own first name. He turned the word Zlatan into property, into something he owned, the way you'd protect a brand. Most people heard the joke. It was a boy taking the one thing that was unmistakably his and making sure it could never be taken. The confidence is the most interesting thing about him, and it's the one thing nobody takes seriously. So take it seriously. Not as comedy, as the most successful act of self-invention football has ever produced. A self so loud it could never be sent across the city to an empty fridge again. It worked, completely. Look at what the act built. 34 trophies, 11 league titles in 4 different countries. The Netherlands, Italy, Spain, France. Which means he walked into 4 leagues that had never seen him and won all 4. Ajax, Juventus, Inter, Barcelona, Milan, Paris Saint-Germain, Manchester United. Over 570 goals across a career that began in 1999 and didn't stop until 2023. Sweden's all-time leading scorer, 62 goals, a record that may stand for generations. And the single image that holds the whole thing, November 2012, Sweden against England in Stockholm. Joe Hart races out and heads the ball clear from 30 yards. Ibrahimović is facing the wrong way. He throws himself backwards into a bicycle kick and it drops under the bar. From a distance no one scores from with their feet, let alone over their shoulder. It won the Puskas Award for the best goal in the world. It is, by most accounts, one of the greatest goals ever scored by anyone. He was 31. He scored all 4 of Sweden's goals that night. And the thing to understand is that the goal and the confidence come from the same root. A man who'd decided long ago he was the kind of person who could do that, and then spent 20 years making the rest of reality agree. That's what the persona was for, not ego. Permission. Every "I am the best" was a brick laid in advance of the thing it was describing. He said it until it was true, and then he said it because it was true, and from the outside you could never tell which came first.
I think I'm the best, without joking.
This is a kid who idolized Ronaldo, the phenomenon, from a place the dream was never supposed to reach. Rosengård to that goal in Stockholm is an impossible distance. The confidence was the thing he built to cross it. There was exactly one room where the act didn't work. Barcelona, 2009. The best team on earth, and the manager, Pep Guardiola, who needed everyone in the system to be slightly smaller than themselves so the whole could be bigger. He asked Zlatan to shrink, to go quiet, to become a role inside someone else's idea. And the boy from Rosengård had built his entire self never to do one thing again, become smaller to fit a room. It ended badly, and it ended fast. One season, the most expensive misunderstanding of his career. Zlatan came to believe Guardiola stopped speaking to him, looked through him, treated the loudest man in football like furniture. For someone who had built himself so he could never be overlooked again, that wasn't a tactical disagreement. It was the old wound, walking back into the room wearing a different face. So he did the only thing the armor would let him do. He left. He went to Milan. He scored. He won. And he was Zlatan again. Somewhere the volume was allowed. You can read that as ego, but go back to where it comes from. The confidence was never really about being better than everyone else. It was about never being abandoned again. And the deepest version of that began earlier than any dressing room. His brother died of leukemia, and Zlatan, who had been raised across two faiths and belonged to neither, asked the only question that childhood leaves you with. Where was God? Where was he, exactly, when it mattered? He has a tattoo. Only God can judge me. And people read it as swagger, the way they read everything. But sit it next to the dead brother, the empty fridge, the two homes, and it stops being a line. It's a verdict on every authority that was supposed to show up for him and didn't. Parents, countries, gods. If none of them will hold you, you hold yourself. You become the thing you needed. And here's where the act is still running, in plain sight, today. In 2026, he sits in a Fox Sports studio as a World Cup analyst. He says the outrageous thing. The room laughs.
Okay, I'm telling you, well done.
Can you get me a cup of tea, please?
The clip travels. Everyone enjoys the character. And not one person in that studio is hearing it as what it actually is. The survival act of a hungry kid from Rosengård. The thing he built at 9 so the world could never overlook him. The same thing he made as a boy to stay alive is the thing on television now. It never switched off. It was survival the world mistook for a joke. He said it more than once, in more than one form, and the world filled it under arrogance every time. In my world, you are your own God. Hear it now, not the swagger. The boy in Rosengård with the dead brother, the two broken homes, the fridge full of beer, working out the only theology that fit the facts. Nobody was coming. If anyone was going to hold him up, it would have to be him. He'd have to invent someone large enough to survive being him. He did. And it worked so well, we mistook the survival for a punchline.